Good morning, televiewers of my Media Prime Television. You're on to your favorite bilingual program, The Brief, the very last for the week, live on my Media Prime Television, a program where we always get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines. And on today's edition of the program, the newspapers are still evaluating the visit or the just ended visit of President Emmanuel Macron to Cameroon. The French president who came to Cameroon recently left. Many people are still analyzing the visit of President Emmanuel Macron as several newspapers are focusing on that this morning. And equally, the crisis in Wum, mentioned division of the Northwest region, is still making headlines in the papers as the mayor of that locality has come out to speak on the issue plaguing his community. Gwladys Bomotonguina is here. Let's have the headlines in the French language newspapers. Bonjour Gwladys.
Bonjour Lasha. Bonjour à vous fidèles téléspectateurs de My Media Prime Télévision. Au plaisir de vous retrouver pour cette autre édition, cette dernière édition de Brief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse. Alors ce matin, nous débutons avec le journal La Nouvelle Expression. La Nouvelle Expression nous parle en grand titre de la Franc-Afrique, l'étau qui se referme donc autour de la France. C'est du moins ce qu'a intitulé La Nouvelle Expression ce matin, à travers un décryptage détaillé des éléments qui ont meublé le séjour du président français Emmanuel Macron au Cameroun. Un intellectuel camerounais montre comment le mécanisme de fonctionnement de la Franc-Afrique peine à se renouveler et pour lui, c'est une bonne nouvelle pour les amis de la liberté du Cameroun. Les détails sont donc en page 2 de la Nouvelle Expression ce matin. À sa page 12, le journal nous parle de la crise anglophone, les défis des nouveaux généraux. En page 5, le journal nous révèle qu'une élève de baccalauréat 2022 a tenté de se suicider suite à son échec. Il s'agit de la jeune Christain Bousseka. En page 4, le journal La Nouvelle Expression nous parle de droits de l'homme, un numéro pour dénoncer les violations. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec le journal L'Œil du Sahel. L'Œil du Sahel qui nous parle en grand titre de l'extrême nord. Plus de 900 000 personnes menacées de famine dans cette partie du pays. Les détails sont donc en page 6 de L'Œil du Sahel ce matin. À sa page 4, le journal nous parle de recettes minières. Plus de 100 millions de francs CFA recouvrés en un semestre dans la région du Nord Cameroun. En page 5, le journal nous parle de la ville de Maroua, un diplomate américain cité dans une affaire de facture impayée. Nous poursuivons, mesdames, messieurs, ce matin avec Émergence. Émergence nous parle en grand titre de l'opération Épervier. De très haute instruction demande donc la libération d'Atangana Kuna. Les détails sont en page 3 du quotidien Émergence ce matin. À sa page 2, le journal nous parle de l'école de guerre de Yaoundé. Le général Valère Nka prend donc les commandes. En page 2 toujours, le journal nous parle de l'audience. L'ambassadeur américain chez Achille Bassilicain. Nous restons toujours dans Émergence au quotidien à sa page 9. Le journal nous parle de Cadet, le préfet suspendant les activités minières à Batouri. Mesdames, Messieurs, voilà tout pour vos titres pour ce vendredi en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Gwladys Bomotonguina. Let's kickstart with the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune this morning, which is focusing on the cabinet meeting that had at the Prime Minister's office recently. Diongute and his close collaborators discuss on pertinent issues. The cabinet meeting of the month of July was chaired by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute, and Social Security was at the helm of this month cabinet meeting in Yaoundé. Let's talk about subsidizing petroleum products in the country. Huge price government pays. The paper tells us further that in view of giving citizens the opportunity to access fuel and cooking gas, or otherwise domestic cooking gas, at the affordable prices. Government has been spending averagely CFA 750 billions annually on subventions, but with the global challenges, the amount is increasing, as the paper tells us every day, and will cost the state fortunes of scarce resources if not adjusted. Other countries like Togo and Senegal have already done so. More details on pages 8 through 9 of this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. We leave Cameroon Tribune this morning. We're taking you to Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Insider newspaper this morning is revisiting the just ended summit of France of President Paul Biya and Macron in Yaoundé. France-Cameroon ties, Paul Biya, Macron on new launch pad. The paper tells us further that the just ended visit to Yaoundé of the French President Emmanuel Macron has been all accounts and ushered in a new tonic in France-Cameroon relations. An exorbitant President Paul Biya, emerging from a 2-hour tete-a-tete Tuesday, told a State House press conference how he felt delighted by this first visit of Emmanuel Macron to Africa since winning France's recent presidential election. President Biya was full of praises for France's role in helping Cameroon, France face some urgent challenges, notably the area of security, financial and economic domains. More details on pages 2 and 7, pages 2 through 7 of this edition of Cameroon Insider newspaper. And the paper is also telling us that Burkina Faso President Blaise Compaoré, or former Burkina Faso President, has apologized to the Burkinabe people for what the paper terms the atrocities committed by the said president that at that time, and he asked for forgiveness from the people of Burkinabe, as Cameroon Insider tells us this morning. We take you to Municipal Updates newspaper, which is focusing on what is happening in Wum Menchun Division of the Northwest Region. Recurrent community clashes in Wum. Mayor Ndigambong speaks out on the issues or inter-tribal clashes that is plaguing the community or his community in Menchun Division of the Northwest Region of the country. And let's stay in the Northwest Region to talk peace. An expert has said or called for exclusion of politicians from peace initiatives. According to the expert, politicians are not supposed to be involved in a peace initiative, as he accused them of always being those destroying peace initiatives that have been put in place by certain individuals to ensure peace return to communities that have conflicts in Cameroon. Thank you for watching televiewers of My Media Prime. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions as usual. Maitre Alex Ndive is joining us this morning while we await the arrival of Alex Ngepi, who is a politician caught somewhere in traffic. Maitre Alex, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Gwladys. Good morning to your technical team. Good morning, the beautiful people of the Cameroons. It's always a pleasure to be on your program to talk about things that affect our people every day in their lives.
Yes, Maitre, thank you so much. Apparently, your gadget is okay today. Let's proceed with our discussion this morning. Many newspapers are still analyzing the coming of Macron. With la nouvelle expression, Gwladys Bomotonguina.
Yes. La nouvelle expression nous présente ce matin que les taux seraient en train de se refermer sur la Franc-Afrique.
You see, when I see that headline, France-Afrique, what comes to my mind? China called all the African presidents, they rushed there. American called all the African presidents, they rushed there. France called them, they rushed there. Don't we have an identity of our own? Sometimes we have been plugging ourselves by talking about France, France, France. I say I have no problem about France. I love the people of France. What I hate is their policies. Imagine, there's somebody somewhere in a village in Cameroon with no electricity, no pipe-borne water, nothing. But we are talking about France. Macron have come and gone. Nothing much will change in the Cameroons, and we waste our time putting all our headlines, our newspaper promoting imperialism. Don't we have things to talk about in our country? Do we still look at Munzungu as if they are God? I keep on saying this. If our own people, like you, Mr. Lasha, like Gwladys, your journalist, when Radio France International talk, we always like what these people, as they call the white people, they talk. We don't care about our own. It's time to forget about Macron and focus on Africa. I know we are still entrapped in their society. I know it's difficult for us to move on when they still manufacture our money, when they still control our socio-economic and educational policy. I know it's difficult, but as a people, we have to bring that change. We must stop blaming our leaders. Our leaders are there because of us. They reflect who we are. And most of us, a lot of people, when some of us we sit and analyze things, they think we're mad. They only want to sit and eat. We should be, we talk about bilateral relationship between France and Cameroon. We know there's no bilateral relationship. Mr. Macron came to see what I would call personally as his governors in Africa. He has been going to other African countries. And if we don't stand up, we don't believe in ourselves, we are going to remain the last people in Africa. Once more, I will keep on saying I have nothing about against France. They are good people.
So how do we believe in ourselves, Maitre Alex? How do we believe in ourselves?
Mr. Lasha, believing in ourselves is to come and call a spade a spade. A lot of us, we are so egoistic in the Cameroons. We look only about position. A lot of people, when we're talking about multi-partyism, they will say, oh no, we want one-party system. They went to the street, they were marching in the street that they want one-party system. Immediately we started protesting. What happened? Those who were singing Zimabola are the one getting the position. So if we believe in ourselves, if we believe in something, those who are calling for change, they should be the one to lead that change. You cannot say you want multi-partyism, and you who was calling for multi-partyism, you don't want to be an MP. You should be that change that you want to see. You cannot say special status. Then the people who are against special status, they are the ones who are in the regional assembly. So you cannot take somebody who is not a pilot to pilot a plane. You cannot take somebody who cannot drive a car to drive a car, and somebody who cannot ride a cycle to do it. A lot of people talk, but they don't want to be that change. They don't want to stand in front. Yeah. I want to be that change. I don't want to propose something tomorrow, then somebody else come and be in that position because it will not work.
Maitre Alex, when you say the things that you are saying, that you say enough is enough and call a spade with an empty pocket, because after that we will still rush to them and ask for money.
To be honest, I will make it clear. I've never asked for money for any person. So those people who go and ask for money is their problem.
No, but you cannot live as an island. Every country borrows.
Listen, the people who have changed the world, they live like an island. Some years ago, even in the Western world, if you look at the people who have changed the world, whether it's Voltaire, Montesquieu, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Thomason, Mandela, Jesus Christ, Martin Luther King, Malcolm, it's their island. People don't tend to believe people when they talk like myself. The only way when things have changed, if Jesus Christ should look today and look on earth, how many millions of people are following him? But he had only what? 12 apostles. When he was preaching, people were not happy, and that's why they killed him. When Malcolm X was preaching, they killed him the same. Martin Luther King, Mandela, they persecute them. So people who change the country are isolated. You don't go into a group. If you want to listen to what the group says, you go, but you fail. When these people, they hijack, what do they call themselves, Federal Republic of Amazonia, I was the first person condemning it. They thought that I was against them because I know they were not serious. I did not see people for the last 30 years doing what we used to do like boys. So sometimes, visionary, you don't need to be in a group. You need to see it. And most of the things I've often said in my life, more than 30 years ago, have come and passed, including parties that were popular like SDF. You know what is happening today. I've never been a militant there. TPM, the same thing. People follow the crowd. And I often say, those who follow the crowd do not go further than the crowd.
Okay, Maitre. This morning, let's talk about a little bit about what is happening in most communities in the Northwest region. this issue of Fulanis attacking other members of other communities. And recently the mayor of a locality in Wum came out to speak on the issue in his community, as we all know. And the paper this morning, the municipal update, is telling us that an expert has said politicians should be excluded from peace initiatives, that they are the ones destroying most communities in the country.
What I will tell you, it's very important. Who is a politician? Is a professional person involved in politics. We should stop confusing civil servants from politicians. In Cameroon, we don't have politicians. When you are teaching like somebody like Mr. Kavai, he's a lecturer with a matricle in, he teach maybe, I don't know, one of the university. He's not a politician, he's a civil servant. And when you go to Enam, you come out, you're a civil servant. So we should stop mistaking civil servant from politician. They are civil servant. We should know politics is a profession in Western country, and you're trained and you exercise, you do the thing to become a politician. So we don't have politician in Cameroon. Mr. Biya had matricle, Aijo had matricle, Prime Minister John Gute was a lecturer. So you cannot be a civil servant. Civil servants should be impartial. We need politicians instead. We need professional politicians in all countries all over the world. Those who solve problems are politicians. You cannot say there is a civil society to solve a problem. And what I should tell you, when you're standing for office, when you receive taxpayers' money, you are going there to use that money to protect the people, to maintain law and order, to enforce law, to maintain security. That is why you go in government. So why we just sit and condemn what is happening in Wum or other part of the country? When you go to power, it's to be tough on the causes of crime and fight crime. So when they sit every day, something.
But Maitre, what is happening in Wum? Don't you think that it is politically motivated, being engineered by some politicians for their selfish interests at the detriment of their communities? Is it an issue of fighting crime?
Whatever the case, I don't bother about that. What is the function of a government? That's the most important part. It doesn't matter who is motivating it. It doesn't matter who is committing a crime. It's a crime. And if people are aiding and abetting criminal activity, we have a criminal justice system in the Cameroon. The government, you have a duty to investigate it if what you're saying. And if some people are doing something that is contrary to the law of the land, they should bring them to justice. That's how it works. We should understand how a country works. It's very important. The fun is, most people who are in this position, this unelected GO, SDO or governor, they don't know their function. Recently, I don't know if it's the same GO. I saw a video. He was talking about they have to collaborate with the public and whatsoever. No, the public are not being paid to collaborate with you. The reason you are in that position is because we have police officers. We have maybe the military.
But the police officers need to gather information from the population to be able to know what is happening in their community.
Each civilized country and democratic country, they have intelligence, people who are being paid. You cannot make our civilians, our children, our mothers, our fathers to risk their life. In a democracy, in a Western world, you tell people, don't go there, there's a criminal, don't approach this place, dangerous, because you protect them. They are paying you tax for you to protect them. They don't pay you for you to ask them to risk their life. And sometimes when you ask them to go to this war zone, what happens is that you are committing a war crime because you're not allowed to involve civilian in a war. And that's why I say that some of these people, they don't understand the law. They should go and read Law on War Crimes, the Geneva Convention. Sometimes they say certain things. Before you do this civil servant politician, before you be them, most people who do politics are lawyers, people who study education or administrators. So you should know what you're doing. Part of the things you should have a training in your life is to know something they should give you. This is your function. You read what your duties you're supposed to do before you have that function.
Maitre, how do we end this situation? Because it's recurrent. It's not something that we have to take it lightly. How do we ensure that the situation comes to an end? We've seen that in a community in Donga Mountain. It is recurring in Womb. Fulanis attacking other communities. What is really the problem? How can we sort out this problem?
When there's a problem in a country like what is going on now, when people are fighting each other, they don't look at it today. So it's a distraction. Sometimes the leaders are happy when there are problems, people fighting each other. It's easy to run a country when there's divide and rule. When I mean especially in African countries. And to stop these things, it is very simple, Mr. Lasha, you and Gwladys. I want to see you guys getting ready to be the next generation members of parliament, councillor, or whatsoever. Don't just sit there and complain. We can do it. We have to put ourselves in front. I want to see people. We have been talking about Mr. Frank Bia. Why can other people like myself or yourself don't come and say, I want to be the next president, instead of promoting somebody that we don't know him, an invisible person. We don't know his job. We don't know his function. We are not saying that he cannot stand. But if you want somebody, you should know about the person, the character, what he has done, the policy, how he has influenced community, if he can bring community together. So it is very important. That change means that people like Gwladys, yourself, you should start put yourself forward. If we sit on this sofa, we are not ambitious. We say we don't want to be. Okay, if I'm saying that the mayor of Boya is not doing something, I should come up with my plan. And I start telling the people, if you put me, this is what I'm going to do. Within 1 year, I'll bring electricity, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this money from this thing. If it's public, private partnership, this, you start explaining it to the people before next election. And then the people will believe you, rather than at the end of the day, you come and give them bag of rice or salt or pepper or whatsoever. We have to change our way of doing things. It's not easy to replace these people, but people have to start. You don't appear only when there's election. You have to start make your point, and you have to tell the people that they are sovereign, it is their right, and when you pay tax, that tax is supposed to use for the betterment of their lives.
Ok, maître. Parlons à présent du ministre, de l'ex-ministre à Tanganakuna. Il doit être libéré sur très haute instruction.
Yes,
you see, this goes back again with the Cameroon constitution that says the president of the republic guarantee the independence of the judiciary. The president is involved in any way, through institution. If I can recap, this man was minister of
water, energy, resources.
Yes. What did he do? We still have rusty water. If I could recap, this man breached his bail. He ran to Nigeria, he was arrested and brought back to Cameroon. If I should recap, he was arrested because of...
For the reason, he was arrested for the reason that he was being accused of that, and he has paid the money, he has paid everything. He has paid everything.
So I'm recalling, and if I should understand again, there were 3 other people who were arrested with him, some from Ministry of Public Service, another ex-rector was arrested in him. Why him alone? Okay, I don't mind.
No, he has paid his money. He has paid from the communique or whatever stuff that was sent out by the Minister of State, Secretary General. We are told that he has paid everything. He has reimbursed or given the money that he is being accused of having stolen.
Listen, there's something in the UK called Proceeds of Crime Act. If you commit an offense, you benefited from that offense. After they have convicted you, that's a separate thing. They have to do what they call Proceeds of Crime Act. They will look at all the money. It's obligatory. It's not about you giving it. They have to seize it. And your sentence still stands. And if you don't give it, let's say you don't give the money or the things that you have stolen, what happened is that they increase your sentence. Let me say they gave you 25 years. They will add 5 more years. These are criminal procedure system. So you cannot say, I stole, I've given the money, free me back. That's not justice. Justice is being done on behalf of the people of the Cameroons, not on behalf of Paul Biya. So I don't agree with that. He stole money, and that's more evidence. Giving the money back is evidence that he has admitted that he stole money. And they should put him in prison because he stole taxpayers' money, not because he has given back the money. That's evidence against him. So he's guilty. So why do they want to free him? If Mr. Biya is really serious about fighting corruption, They should make it to be a deterrent. You cannot, because somebody gave the money back, you free the person. If you look at the ministry that the man was running, if we should send people to supervise, what has he done in terms of water, energy? Nothing. Today we have energy problem. We have water problem. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me, this man was drinking expensive champagne in Kondengi. Why people are starving, they cannot have 3 square meals other part of Cameroon. He should remain there. And if Mr. Biya should release such criminal, then it tells you that Mr. Biya is turning his back against the wishes of the people of the Cameroons.
Okay. Ok, merci beaucoup, maître. Parlons à présent de l'extrême nord Cameroun. Près plus de 900 000 personnes sont menacées de famine dans cette partie du pays.
Yeah, extreme north is my place. Some of my family in-laws, they come from there. They come from Giziga, Salai. So I know it very well. But it saddens me that we are in Africa and we are still talking about famine. I understand sometimes famine can become because of drought, flooding, unreasonable cold, typhoon, depredation, insect infestation, and plant diseases. I know those things happen. But I'm not sure why we are having famine in the north of Cameroon today, in Marwa or extreme north. I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because of drought. But to be honest, there are ways to have famine or do certain things when there's drought. We have plenty in Cameroon. The constitution of Cameroon says we should share our natural resources with all Cameroonians. So if these people are having drought, what are the measures that the government are putting in place? Okay, as you say, menace, which means it's not happening yet, it's about to happen. That's what I understand what it means in French. So I believe in prevention better than cure. Yeah. So it is time that the government should be looking into it and try to stop it, because the extreme north is part of the Cameroons and it should be an emergency. I want to see Mr. Biya to come and talk and make a speech about that. It is an emergency. People cannot live when they don't have something to eat.
Okay. Maitre Alex, Blaise Compaoré, former Burkinabe president, has apologized to the Burkinabe people on his role in what he did when he was president in that country. He says he's sorry and is pledging for a reconciliation. He wants the people of that country to forgive him for what he did to them.
To be honest, Mr. Compaoré break my heart when I was still in CPC Bali, because most of us, there was no television, and we have one of our teachers, he used to read John Afrique, he told us about Thomas Sankara. So if he thinks what he has done, he took Africa 30 years behind time by eliminating Thomas Sankara, because Thomas Sankara was an influence all over Africa. If he thinks what he's doing, we call it in criminal justice system, it's called mitigating circumstances. So when they sentence you, they can reduce your sentence. But that man, Blaise Compaoré, should go to prison and serve his term. That's what is important. It's justice. Yes, the people will forgive him, but he must go to prison for what he did, for destroying a country, for making a country to go 30 years behind time. I will tell the people of Burkina Faso, accept his apology, but he must go to prison and serve his time for what he did. He has attempted other coups behind. It failed. From Ivory Coast? They are giving him the nationality of what? Ivory Coast. Then today, he wants to reconcile with people. When he chose the nationality of Ivory Coast because he did not want to be extradited back to Burkina Faso. So he refused and said, I'm not the people, I'm not the person, I'm no longer these people. I don't care. People should forgive him as a human, but he must go to prison and serve his time. He is doing this because he has tried to orchestrate other coups and he failed. So I don't believe that the apology is genuine. And if it is genuine, let him go to the country and serve his time in prison. I'm sure he was condemned, I don't know how long, imprisonment. So yes, apology accepted. Yes, he must go to prison and serve his time.
Maître Alex, Gwladys, let's proceed.
Effectivement, parlons à présent de la violation des droits de l'homme. On parle de la violation des droits de l'homme au Cameroun. Le journal La Nouvelle Expression nous révèle que ça s'accroît de plus en plus en ce qui concerne le Cameroun.
Okay, if you're talking about human rights, human rights is something that I'm very interested in, and it's nothing new to say people are violating human rights, the law or whatsoever, the right of life, the right to equality, the right to own property, the right to have an independent legal person or to own property. We have seen that, and I must make it clear that in most countries in the world, including the Western world, there's violation of human rights. But the difference in Africa or Cameroon is that there's no mechanism that we can implement these human rights. Sometimes you don't have the institution or the politician or the civil servant that can implement it. In Cameroon, we just believe that human right means you come and express your freedom of expression. We talk on your program. Listen, we were born free. Okay. This change came from the governments of Africa. We were born free. Nobody was controlling us when we were talking. What we should have between government and the people is a social contract. We have given you part of our liberty so that you can run the institution perfectly. It's not about violating the laws of the country or whatsoever. If you see, in most African countries, they don't care about a lot of things. I would see, like in Cameroon where we live, most people, they leave other part of Cameroon, which is still human right. The right to own it, have a job, is still human right. You have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. There are about 30 articles. The right of education, there are 30 of them. Everybody have that right. But if we look the way they run our country, some people are better off than other people. Some people have train in where they come from in Cameroon. Some people have airport, other people don't have it. So Cameroon, there's a lot of inequality, and that's violation of human rights. Human right is not only when they beat somebody in the street, we say, oh, it's human right. Human right entails owning a property, having a job. How many Cameroonians can have a job? We see selectivity, we see nepotism. All those things are people's human rights. And the area, the better our people know about these things. If you know your right, you will fight for it.
Comment est-ce qu'on fait pour sortir de cette situation, de cette condition? Comment est-ce que les Camerounais font pour que leurs droits soient respectés? Quand vous avez parlé droit de logement, droit de nutrition, comment est-ce qu'il faut pour que leurs droits soient respectés au Cameroun?
I wish I was in Cameroon so that most people, I should have something like what we have here, Citizen Advice Bureau is free. Most people, they violate their laws. They don't know people, have people to fight for them. If we have something in Cameroon like a free citizen advice bureau, when you have any legal problem, whether your landlord violates your rights, when you come there, we can be writing free letters and having lawyers who fight for people for free. We need those things in Cameroon. When individuals, they come and meet you in an office, we have volunteers, we keep on writing, reading the laws of Cameroon and put those laws to the various ministers or departments in Cameroon. That's what we need to do. And normally they will not reply. And when they don't reply, we'll come on your program like your own, we'll talk about it. We wrote to this Minister of Education in connection to this person's right who was violated in Boya University, nothing was done. Been 1 month, it's been 2 months, it's been 1 year, the minister is still silent. So we have to be putting pressure and things will change with this part of the way I'm talking about. If you do it, you have to do it. It's not easy. When people have been in a position for a long, long time, it's difficult for you to come and ask these people to leave that seat. If you ask Mr. Bia, he's somebody who has spent all his life in a 2D, majority of his life. You cannot just go there and say he will leave. It is difficult, I understand, but you need people to make them to understand the laws of the Cameroon. If you read the laws of Cameroon, they are good laws. Unfortunately, people don't go and read it. They don't understand the law. They only look, oh, people have tried to do ABC, it did not work. If you go and do the same thing, it will never work. Okay. No, if you follow the law, you know what the law says.
Let's end this morning with the Guardian Post newspaper. There are two very important topics in the Guardian Post newspaper. First of all, the peace initiative that was launched by one journalist, TV award-winning journalist in Cameroon, Kum Leonard, to preach peace at the basic level of the society. Maitre Alex.
To me, this is my point of view. Everybody who wants to preach peace is good. But there's something I should tell you. Do you have that power? Let me say this. I'll tell you this is clear. If I say I'm hungry, you don't give me food, and you say you're preaching about hunger or whatsoever, does it solve the problem? There are people who are in power who have to solve the problem that we have. There are people who cannot study, like myself, I went to Ngwakele, they cannot study in French. I know you will say Boya University is there, but you have to make them to have that their own legal system. They have to be in a position not translating other things or economy superior or NASLA. You have to solve this problem if you want peace. In Northern Ireland, we used to have problems. Bombs all over the United Kingdom. They had what they call Good Friday Agreement. They involved the Bill Clinton in America. They involved Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president. They involved other people in America. It is the government of this country that made that initiative. Then other people came in. And the problem of Northern Ireland have been solved today because of the Good Friday Agreement. Yes, it's a good initiative, but as an individual, do you have that power? The answer is an emphatic no.
Let's talk about this other headline that has to do with Kawayege, Djibril, and Maxime Nyat, who were not seen in public during the visit of French President Emmanuel Macron.
I don't blame them. Maxime Nyat is 87 years old. Kawayege Djibril is 82 years old. They are Mr. Macron's father. What are they going to do to their son? The son came there. The son knows they were in power before they came there. So it's not a big news. I know it's just a speculation. Those people who were surrounding themselves with Mr. Macron are the people who were aspiring to, hoping that they might replace Mr. Biya one day. Mr. Macron knows Nyat. Mr. Macron knows Kavaye. Kavaye was, Nyat was a minister in the 1990s and at the same time Director General of the National Electricity Company. Kavaye Djibril has been member of parliament since 1992. So to me, it's not a big deal. And he was vice president of the assembly in 1993. It's when I just left primary school. So you see all these people, to me, yes, it's speculation, it's conjunction. It doesn't make any difference. The people who were around Mr. Biya are the people, I mean, not Mr. Macron. They were the people who were eyeing the top job. Ngongo, Ayolo. There was the prime minister who doesn't stand a chance. There was
why should you say that? Why should you say that? Why should you? Why should you say that?
I'm analyzing things. I'm analyzing things.
Who doesn't stand a chance?
There was Chantal Biya. There was Chantal Biya who is Grace Mugabe, and if he tries it, he knew what happened in Zimbabwe. Grace Mugabe was trying to take over. There's Chantal Biya who had a particular position on a golden-plated red chair. The next president of Cameroon. You people are underestimating that lady. You don't know. So the people who were around are the people who are eyeing the job of the president. Those were the people who were there. Nyat is not eyeing it. Kavaye is not eyeing it. So that is my opinion. That is my view.
But the offices that they hold, don't you think that is really not presented or well? I mean, the image of Cameroon to the rest of the world, that the second and the third most powerful personalities of Cameroon were not seen around Macron?
Let me tell you the truth. Yeah, I understand what you are saying. Then what was the visit all about? And if, from my analysis, if there's something they call it transition, you expect to see the people who could take over, not the people who will go with Mr.
No, but these people
Biya
are of the law-making body of the country. They are the ones who decide. They can decide and call for an extraordinary parliamentary session to change the constitution today. They are the ones.
You know that the Parliament of Cameroon and the Senate is a rubber stamp. I'm not the one saying it's a rubber stamp parliament. It's Mr. Biya who decide what should happen. They don't have that power. They are just there to occupy that post. And Mr. Biya is a smart man. He puts people who are also almost the same age with him so that they will have no ambition. If you put a young person like Gwladys or yourself or me, I might be eyeing that if I'm there, I will change the constitution and remain. So he put people. Nyat have got no aspiration to be the president.
But he
of
got children. Nyat got children as well as.
So you're calling for a monarchy. That's what you're calling. You're asking for a monarchy. Nyat has got children to be the next president. Sometimes you guys are encouraging these things. Sometimes we should not be.
No, I'm just asking my questions. I'm just asking my questions without any bad intention.
No, to me, there's nothing wrong with that. We know Ayolo is more powerful than Nyat. Forget who is in power, who is the next in line, according to the constitution of Cameroon. Ngongo is more powerful than Nyat and Marcel Gifendi. Chantal Biya is more powerful than them. It's a fact. Frank Biya is more powerful. His own qualification is that I'm the son of the president. That's his qualification. That's what we hear about him. So to me, these people are just occupying a position with no powers. When I mean no powers, when it comes to Etudi. Etudi is powerful, and the constitution of the country gives all the power to the president. The president is the one who calls for the National Assembly or the Senate. It's not Nyat or it's not Kabari. It's a fact. It's the truth. You can read it. It's in the constitution. They don't have power. It's Etudi who authorized them to do whatever they have to do. And that's why they have been there for a very long time under Mr. Biya's regime, because they are loyal, they respect him. When Mr. Biya said jump, they ask Mr. Biya how high. That's how they have been operating.
Thank you very much, Metro Alex. Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime Television for watching the very last edition of the program for the week, which was produced for us by Christain, Tebong. We were Gwladys, Bomotonguina, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Are you in a relationship and you have issues